Hello, everybody. Today I wanted to talk about the secret to true happiness. So, in this little video presentation, you will learn what the actual secret is to true happiness and why it might be opposite to everything that you've ever heard. So, the secret to true happiness. Welcome to the presentation. And first of all, I'm just going to introduce myself. So, my name is Stephen. I'm a full-time volunteer helper at Brisbane Meditation Centre in Brisbane, Australia, and also I am a volunteer for Online Meditation Oceania. So this YouTube channel here is part of Online Meditation Oceania, where we host 2 free online meditation sessions every single week on Tuesdays and Saturdays. So while I get started into it, I'm going to start with this short little video clip from the founder of this meditation method that we all follow here. So just listen along.
Happiness. How to be happy and positive all the time. People think happiness is when I have what others envy. People think they will be happy if they make lots of money, or have a beautiful woman, or a child who studies well, or when one's goals are achieved. But at the end of this happiness, there is inevitable loss. And that is when people become miserable. True happiness is when people's minds do not have the mind to pursue happiness. And when one has cast off the human mind, which is filled with greed, then one will always be happy. When one is the mind of truth that is always alive, which has absolutely nothing, one accepts these conditions and those conditions, and thus is the existence of happiness itself. One cannot be happy as long as one's self and one's desires exist. When the false, fake self disappears, and one becomes the true self, one is always happy. If you
Okay, so there we have it. So probably half of that made sense and half of it didn't. True mind or not having the mind to pursue happiness. What do some of these things actually mean? So I will cover that as this presentation goes on. But the first part, when you look at something like this, holidays. Holidays is something that a lot of people tie their happiness to. We work for the majority of the year, 48 to 52, sometimes 52 weeks of the year, all for this pinnacle of the year to be the holiday. So we're saving up for this holiday, and my happiness rests in the holiday. Some people really don't like work. They hate work. Work is miserable. But the conception of going on the holiday, yes, this is happiness in my mind. The holiday comes around, all the preparation for the holiday, organizing it. Sometimes this can even be a stressful situation. Sometimes it can be a happy situation. It really depends on how your mind is. Then you go on the holiday and it's great. It's fantastic. You have a good time. You've escaped from your mind. You've escaped from the regularities of your mind. And so you're now in this place that you're disconnected from that world that you live in, and this sense of freedom that you get from nature or from holidays and from exploring and from that newness. But then the holiday starts to end and the inevitability of loss enters into your mind, and have to go back to work on Monday, and then maybe you start getting depressed or you start getting sad. I don't know if anybody can relate to this, but this is certainly how holidays used to be for me. I hated work. I always looked forward to holidays, and holidays were fantastic, but it was always depressing going back to work. And then what about this? Shopping. Everybody knows shopping. The dopamine hit that we get from buying something new, getting a new pair of jeans or a new dress or a new shirt, whatever it is. Yeah, it feels great. You put this shirt on, looks fantastic. Look in the mirror, great. Yeah, this is great. I'll go out and wear it. Tonight I'm going to show off my new shirt or my new dress, and okay, yeah, it gives me a little bit of happiness. But the happiness very quickly fades away. It's not a permanent happiness. It's a very temporary, it's a very fleeting happiness. The inevitable loss also once again sinks in. It's not a true source of happiness in the same way that the holidays really are they a true source of the happiness. So this is what I want to challenge with your mind. Oops. And then there's food. Everybody loves food. Who doesn't love food? So, yeah, going out to a restaurant, It's a great experience. Going with friends, going with family, enjoying the food, enjoying the meal. Again, you're getting that happiness while you're eating. You're getting the release of endorphins. Things feel really good. Sometimes if you eat junk food, yeah, it feels really good while you're eating, but then after you've finished eating it, there's the guilt that sets in, maybe some depression. I've done it again. I've succumbed to my desires. But then also, even if it's a nice meal, the happiness is not really, it doesn't last. Sometimes you spend, even a meal, you'll spend like an hour or 2 hours preparing a meal, then you eat it for 5 or 10 minutes and it's like, oh, okay, well, that was a lot of time and effort for this short period of happiness. So again, there is that inevitable loss. Is it really a source of true happiness? And then this one, relationships. I think everybody can relate to this. We set up our whole lives in pursuit of a partner, whatever partner that may be, it doesn't really matter, but we set up our entire lives in the pursuit of this and thinking that, oh, once I have a partner, I'm going to be happy. Once I get this, I'm going to be happy. So there's always this future state where, oh yes, this is going to equal happiness. And then you get that partner, you have that, what they call the honeymoon period, where everything is really fantastic. You're really enjoying each other's company, and then you start to get to know them more, and their true colors start to come out. The things that they hid from you start to shine out, and you start to see it, and you start to get annoyed at different quirks and things about their character, and it's not as exactly as fantastic as you thought it would be, and eventually you just become like two people, and it's like sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. And really, is again this the source of happiness? If you look at the divorce rate now, it's over 50%. I would argue that this is actually really not a true source of happiness, because if it was, if just getting married was really the source of happiness, why isn't the whole world just happy and just loving life? Now, the reason why actually, first of all, I want to emphasize there is absolutely nothing wrong with any of these things. There's nothing wrong with a holiday. There's nothing wrong with shopping. There's nothing wrong with food. There's nothing wrong with a relationship. There is absolutely nothing wrong with enjoying any of these things. I encourage you to enjoy them. But the problem is that we're left always in a state of want. The reason is because we have this mind. We have this mind that we're constantly trying to fill up, and it's a mind that can never, ever be filled. And if you follow philosophy, and if you follow these sorts of things, you can realize and understand through philosophy and ideologies like this that actually, yeah, there is no source of happiness here. We know this, but we're living in a consumerist capitalist society where really we've been fed, our minds have been fed with this idea that have a relationship, it's going to make you happy. Go and eat this food, it's going to make you happy. Buy this watch, it's going to make you feel great. Get in this car, it's going to make you feel awesome. We've really been polluted. Our consciousness has been colluded with these conceptions and these ideas, which are not true. They are absolutely 100% false. They are 100% not true. They are simply just marketing tools to make you buy because you buy with your emotions. And so, if that's the case, then my whole life I've been led to believe that this is the happiness, well, and it doesn't actually last, how can I actually find something that lasts? The way to do this is to find yourself in a state of acceptance. Okay, that sounds all good and well, but if I think in my mind that a holiday is what equals happiness, what about if I get rid of that conception from my mind? What about if I get rid of the concept of shopping equaling happiness, or food, or even relationships? Then what is left? What's left is the state of acceptance. And so with acceptance, we're always happy, we're always fulfilled. And this is where this becomes the opposite of everything that you've ever heard. This is where you have heard these ideas about constantly filling up a mind that can't be filled. But okay, well, how do I empty that mind? Well, in order to empty that mind, you need to know what the mind is. So the mind is a 5 senses camera. So just like a camera takes pictures and stores it in the film, we also do the same with these 5 senses. So obviously we have our eyes, we have our nose, we have our ears, mouth, and the body itself. And with this 5 senses camera, we take pictures and store it all into our brain. And from there, we're actually living inside of this picture world. And so we have accumulated in our mind this picture world. And so all the things that we've ever done is stored in there, all those ideas and conceptions. So if we go back to the analogy of the camera, this is like the film of the camera. But we were also born with this software that we inherited from our parents and our ancestors embedded in our DNA. So this is what we call the habits. This is the habits, this is the roots of the mind that we've already had. This is our predisposition before we were even doing anything in life. Based on how we see the world is these habits. And then this body, which is like the hardware, it's the actual camera machine. And so the mind, the false mind, is made up of the life that I've lived, the habits, and the body. And so if we look at that in detail, this life lived, let's just take this as an example, how we always take pictures. So from the moment you were born, you were just accumulating all of these things in your mind. So if I say your mum, in your mind, you have a different picture than I have in my mind. Anything and everything that you did with your mum is all stored in your mind. Whether it was a positive experience or a negative one, it stains your consciousness and it becomes and forms who you think that you are. So for example, if we use this example here, if I drop something on the floor, maybe one mum comes along and says to me, "What are you doing? Why did you drop that? You naughty little boy," and he gives you a smack. And then from there you have this fear of trying new things. "Oh, I don't want to try anything because I might get told off." You don't actually realize that that's how you are, but it's so deeply embedded in your mind that it formulates how you start to see the world. On the other hand, a different mum might come along and say, "Oh, it's okay, darling, no problem, accidents happen." And so your mind is completely different. The outlook of your life is completely different. You might not have a fear of trying new things. You might have a confidence to actually try new things because you don't have that fear embedded in your consciousness. Again, neither realizes that this is why their mind is the way that it is, because both, any and all people, are just living inside of this mind world. And so the way that we see the world is all based on these things that we've accumulated and stored in our mind. And then what we do is we think that what's in our mind is correct. We argue with people, we have all these fights and arguments, and I'm right and you're wrong. And again, we're only really just talking from our own experiences. So all those different experiences that we try to make us happy, the different relationships, whether they're good or they're bad, again, they usually start out good, maybe they end bad. And then sometimes as well, you get people who have a series of bad relationships and then they say, "Oh, all women are bad," or "Oh, all men are bad." You probably know someone who talks just like this. They are living inside of their mind world, just like you. Don't judge people and say that they're living in their mind world. I'm not. We are all living in our mind world, which overlaps who we really are. And this is the fundamental problem that we really need to get to. And so even up to now, my house, my mortgage, my job, thinking about all these things, all these stresses, and I'm trying to save up for this holiday and everything's so stressful, and I'm thinking about these things and dwelling on them and constantly creating more of these pictures in my mind, which just floods and consumes my consciousness and fills me up with all these ideas about what happiness is or how I can be happy. But I'm so stuck in this mind. I'm imprisoned in here. It's like living in hell in this mind. But here, with this meditation method, we can teach you how to systematically eliminate all these things from your mind so that you can be free to find your true unconditional happiness. So to summarize the point, in this world, there's really only two worlds. There is your false world, which overlaps the true world. And so the true world, the true mind, imagine you take away all the stars, the sun, the earth, and humans. There is this infinite emptiness. That infinite emptiness is the universe. This is the origin of everything. This is actually the source, the place of eternal happiness. This is a non-material yet living existence. Religions might refer to it as heaven or nirvana or paradise. This is actually the truth. This is the place of, again, religions refer to it as God, Buddha, and Allah. But whatever you refer to it as, it actually is really completely irrelevant. What is relevant is, this is our true mind. This belongs to everybody. It is within you. Unfortunately, though, we're not living like this. We're all living inside of our mind world, which overlaps. And this is the mind of negativity. This is the mind of stress. This is a mind that is totally an illusion. It's not real, but we live being deceived by the mind of lies that we've stored inside of us. We're like robots. Everything that's been programmed into there is what we output in our thoughts and our speech and our actions. But because of this, it's just conditional happiness. It's not a happiness that ever lasts. We're always chasing more happiness. How many famous people have you heard about that commit suicide? They have everything. They have everything that everyone thinks would be the ideal life, but they're still not happy because they've chased these conditions. They've got what they were looking for, and they're not happy. You hear about Olympic gold medalists. They train their whole life for this Olympic gold medal. They get it, and then depression sets in straight away because now what? This idea of happiness that I had in my mind that I would feel, what happens now? You cannot base your life on this conditional happiness. It is just a burden. It will create all these worries, all these anxieties, all these depressions. And this is the false mind. So this is the mind that we want to actually get rid of. So through this meditation method, if you eliminate that false mind, you will find that true mind. You will find that place of eternal, true happiness. You will find your true self, and you will live forever as you've always wanted to. It is the true place of happiness. So this is the secret to true happiness. I hope that made sense. I hope you enjoyed. Please join us for some meditation classes every Tuesday and every Saturday. You can go to our website, have a look there, join up. Or if you really love the message and it really resonates, oh, I'm living in my mind and I'm trapped, just join one of the meditation centers. So we have them all around the world, the ones in the Oceanic region. We have one in Auckland, we have one in New Zealand. We have the Brisbane Centre where I'm from in Queensland. We have one in Sydney, New South Wales. We have one in Melbourne, Victoria. We have two in Western Australia, one in Perth and one in Mantra. And so these meditation centres are all virtual and online, and they have physical centres as well. So it doesn't matter where you are, your distance from the centre is irrelevant. As long as you can follow that method and you can join up, it's a fully guided meditation. We will help you get to that place of true unconditional happiness. So thank you very much, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next time.